This is the war you don't see.
Haven't seen anything since then.
Just fucking, once you get on, just open up.
Okay, Roger. I see your element. You got about 4 Humvees out along this.
You're clear.
All right, firing. Line here. When the stage line. Let me know when you get it.
Or shoot. Light them all up.
202 traffic, 260s.
Come on, fire. Hey, Roger.
Keep shoot. Keep shoot.
Bushmaster 2-6. We need to move time now.
All right, we just engaged all 8 individuals.
A whole street covered with bodies. The reaction to that was nice.
Yeah, look at those dead bastards.
Nice.
Ethan McCord was one of the first soldiers to reach the scene of the killing. Here he speaks to an audience in the United States.
Myself and the team of soldiers I was with began running in the direction where we heard the Apache fire.
Good shoot.
Thank you.
I was not even close to prepared for the carnage that I was about to walk onto. I saw what appeared to have been 3 men on a corner.
Got that big pile of bodies to the right on the corner.
We got dismounted infantry and vehicles. Over.
It was an extreme shock to my system. They didn't look human. Then there was the smell. The smell was unlike anything I've smelled before. A mixture of feces, urine, blood, smoke, and something else indescribable.
Now, Bushmaster, we have a van that's approaching and picking up the bodies. Request permission to engage.
Bushmaster 7, Roger. This is Bushmaster 7, Roger. Engage.
1-8, engage. Clear.
Come on.
Clear. Clear left.
Oh yeah, look at that, right through the windshield.
208 for soft we go frequency.
I just drove over a body. Yeah.
Crying. I hear crying. Not cries of pain, but that of a small child who had just woken up from a horrible nightmare.
Yeah, it looks like we got it.
I saw that there was a minivan, and the cries appeared to be coming from it. Myself and another soldier, a 20-year-old private, walked up to the passenger side van and looked inside. The private that I was with reeled back, began to vomit, and quickly ran away. What I saw when I looked in the van was a small girl about 4 years old on the passenger side of the bench seat. She had a severe belly wound and was covered in glass.
Roger, we need a evac this child. She's got a wound in the belly.
The glass was in her hair and also in her eyes. Next to her, half on the floorboard, with his head resting on the seat, was a boy about 7 years old. He wasn't moving, and from the severe wound to the right side of his head, my first thought was that he was dead. In the driver's seat was who I immediately concluded must have been these children's father by the way he was hunched over the children in a protective manner. The whole time thinking, fuck, what the fuck, these are babies.
Hey, I need to get the brass to drop ramps. I got a wounded girl. We need to take the rest of mine.
Oh, it's their fault for bringing their kids to a battle.
That's right.
See, my son was born May 31st, 2007. I had yet to see him. And I had a daughter who was barely older than this girl. The medic radioed in that the little girl needed to be evacuated because there was nothing else he can do here. I handed the child to the medic, who then ran the girl to a waiting Bradley armored vehicle. I walked back to the van. I don't know why. I looked inside the van again. Did the boy just move? Holy shit, the boy just moved. I grabbed the boy from the van and held him against my chest. I was screaming at this point, the boy's alive, the boy's alive. I started running to the Bradley in hopes that it wasn't leaving. At this point, the boy looked up at me. Then his eyes rolled back, and my heart sunk. It's okay, I have you. It's going to be okay. Don't die, don't die. I squeezed him a little bit tighter. I put him into the Bradley as gently as I could.
Can you tell battalion the 2 civilian children casualties are coming back to Restamai and the Bradley over? Roger, that's a negative on evac the 2 civilian kids to Rusty. They're going to have the IVs will take them to a local hospital over.
"What the fuck are you doing, McCord?" It was my platoon leader. "You need to quit worrying about these fucking kids and pull security," he screamed. At the time, the only thing I can think of was, "Roger that, sir."
One of the soldiers on the ground, he describes the atrocity as, and I quote him, an everyday occurrence. And he said the word from his commander was to kill, I won't use the word, everyone on the street. And he replied to him, "Are you kidding me, women and children?" He said, "Yes." And it's a point made by many other soldiers who've come back from Afghanistan and Iraq that this kind of atrocity is not an aberration.
Well, first of all, this is not an everyday occurrence. If it was an everyday occurrence, we would certainly know about it. These incidences are unfortunate. Every one in which there's a civilian casualty is unfortunate. But again, it is the enemy who is deliberately trying to inflict civilian casualties and put civilians in harm.
General James Cartwright, who's Vice Chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he says the United States can expect to be at war, and these are his words, for as far as the eye can see. That sounds like a permanent state of war.
Our job is to be prepared to fight and win this nation's wars. And so we have to be prepared for the possibility of conflict into the future.
It's a remarkable state of affairs, isn't it? Because the United States is not, in fact, threatened by a power that could possibly overturn it, defeat it. That's impossible. But still it goes on as if we're all drawn into, most of humanity, into a permanent state of war. For many people, that seems very difficult to justify.
Well, first of all, there are some very dangerous asymmetric threats that are out there. Terrorism, obviously, one of them. This is what we anticipate going into the future is not necessarily nation-on-nation type conflict. Okay, it is these asymmetric threats that are out there. It's the threat of weapons of mass destruction. There's another asymmetric threat is the cyber threat that exists. These are all threats that transcend geographical boundaries. You know, the United States military has to prepare for a wide range of threats that exist out there in order to protect its national interests.
Are media drums beating for another war? Say a war with Iran?
I wouldn't say that the media are beating the drums for war yet, although they are showing the same credulousness, the same obsequiousness towards the powerful as they did in advance of the Iraq War. I'm not sure it's to the point that they're beating the drums for war yet, but when the elites decide it's time to go, I would be surprised if they did anything but.
The British elites do not want the public to know what they're doing. They don't actually even think they have a right to know what they're doing. And they know that the more information the public has, the more difficult it is for them to pursue policies that maybe are abusive of human rights or involve supporting a repressive regime. And so there's a conscious strategy, actually, of having these public relations campaigns that the government regularly has whenever it resorts to an overseas military intervention to try and convince the public that they're acting for the highest of noble intentions, when in fact they're not, when they're usually acting out of hard-hearted, straightforward calculation of elite interests. So the public is a threat that needs to be countered.
For too many journalists, the price of their independence is their life. They include Terry Lloyd of ITN, shot dead in Iraq by American Marines. Since the invasion of Iraq, more than 300 journalists have been killed, more than in any other war. This film is a tribute to them. That doesn't mean that we journalists have to risk our lives to tell the truth. But we do have to be brave enough to defy those who seek our collusion in selling their latest bloody adventure in someone else's country. That means always challenging the official story, however patriotic that story may appear, however seductive and insidious it is. For propaganda relies on us in the media to aim its deceptions not at a faraway enemy, but at you at home. It's very simple. In this age of endless imperial war, the lives of countless men, women, and children depend on the truth, or their blood is on us. Never believe anything until it's officially denied, said the great reporter Claude Cockburn. In other words, those whose job it is to keep the record straight ought to be the voice of people, not power.